Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome once again to Changing the Questions, the show where we take a single question and dissect it thoroughly. My name is Paul Laporte. Joining me, as always, as sometimes, are my co-host Daniel Two Guns Peruzzi.
Bang bang.
And Michael Miner.
The frick.
Okay. So, getting back to our regular... Oh, Jesus. We're in our lounge setting, and it has caused these guys to be far too relaxed. We are going back to our...
Not a relaxed look on anybody's
Let's turn
face.
down the gain on this thing. That's probably too loud. Okay, that's probably better. All right, so been a little while since we've done one of these, but I wanted to get back into the swing of a more regular schedule. So let's go ahead and get things... Would you stop that, please? Woo! All right.
Anyway, snap me out of it.
So
That's just the left hand, too. My right one's got a lot more gusto to it, I'm telling you.
It's because he gets a lot more workout
Yep.
with, right?
Roll dice for a living. Come on, guys. Let's get your minds out of the gutter.
Oh Jesus, this is going to be bad.
The perfect start to this episode.
All right, so the question we're going to be asking is: should WWE
Yahtzee!
implement LGBT characters into their storytelling? This comes from a tweet that Stephanie McMahon put out recently saying that they would be doing exactly that, and then I guess we saw the first part of that with Braun Strowman's opponent saying that he likes big sweaty men, and if that's the start of this is a bad road to go down.
This is...
I mean, for...
Let's clear this off of here. Okay.
I'm not going to cut that one down.
Thank you. Editing. So I've heard people say, and there's different things. Let's first of all, let's remove the whole homophobic bigot reaction for this. There have been people making legitimate comments of, listen, I just don't want any romantic storylines at all in professional wrestling. I don't think that's something that's fitting for them. So I think, maybe there's a little bit of stuff that's maybe there's some other stuff down there, but that's the argument that I hear a lot of people making, so I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this and where characters like this should fall in professional wrestling.
Why make it blatant? Just don't.
Okay, well, what do you mean? So
You
do you
don't
think...
need to make it you don't need to make it a storyline. It's I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to do if you do it right, but do you think they could do it right? Honestly,
that's another thing that's worth discussing.
there you go. With the most recent incident you just talked about, not even really an incident, but where the performer said, I like big sweaty men, and if that's where they're starting out at, I have no faith for them doing it right.
First of all, let's not pretend that there's never been any LGBT stuff done in professional wrestling before.
There's been a ton. I've mentioned it
yeah.
one part of the article that's seemingly taking forever for me, but with Sammy. Back in the Attitude Era, about 98, 99, with Mark Henry in China, and there was Sammy, the one who basically went down on Mark Henry,
the transvestite prostitute. Yeah.
Exactly. He found out that he's you're a man.
Sweet Jesus, he has a penis. Yeah, I remember.
Sweet Jesus, have a penis.
But I'm talking more about Goldust could certainly be considered along those lines. Even if not a straight gay character, certainly a someone who challenged gender norms, things like that. Billy and Chuck, of course, famous example. If you go outside of WWE, you can certainly...
Goldust was androgynous,
Right, but I'm still saying, you could still, they definitely played with that, for sure. So, let's not pretend like it's never happened, but should WWE, who has certainly gone away from that in recent years, try and do something to cater, or not even cater, but just maybe represent or look or make a storyline that's kind of pointing in the direction of the LGBT community.
Bring back Rico.
He's been talking a lot. Please say something.
I just my fear is what you said. I don't know if WWE can handle this with the
grace and dignity. Let's just say that.
With the way that they should. If they can do it, sure. You've got somebody like Darren Young who came out, and maybe they could work something like that properly into a storyline with him, somebody who's already got some popularity. Maybe you can...
I got a direction for this. Titus O'Neil needs a coach. Pat Patterson's not being used. Synergy?
Like I was saying...
Anyway.
Like if they
But
can
they
find
could
a way,
they could make it work if they really wanted to, but they will inevitably.
like I said,
they will inevitably throw that whole gay thing into it. Like I'm not saying gay like a slanderous thing, but they'll do what they think is like gay.
So here's the thing, and like when I did my booking a Better Wrestler of Darren Young months and months ago, I brought up that's like the perfect place to start with this is that Pat Patterson. All right, I'm gonna make a run at the Intercontinental title. Pat Patterson was the first IC champion.
Yeah,
he's gay. I'm a gay man. I want to carry, I want to do that kind of legacy of that guy proud and show that that we can, that we're going to be athletic and strong and whatnot, and break the norms that society have kind of put on us. That's kind of the obvious place to go.
I'm still a man, damn it.
As far as you guys, expressing concerns,
not effeminate.
I certainly agree with that. I don't know if WWE. I think that they can, whether or not they will, because here's the thing. I think that there should be I think that there should be characters who are LGBT, but I don't necessarily know if there should be LGBT characters. And there's a distinction between that.
Because when you lose that distinction, you're now when the storyline is that they are LGBT, you're patronizing that group of people, and that's not fair.
And I think
you're creating a separation just by doing that.
And I think one of the examples that they gave is that there was like some rumors that they were going to try and work like Becky Lynch into some sort of angle where she gets involved with another woman. Which, to the best of my knowledge, Becky Lynch not gay, not somebody who dates women normally. So that's my concern is that WWE is going to try and force something rather than bringing in people who just happen to be gay.
Plus, if they do it in the women's division, then you're running the risk of doing what they did during the Attitude Era, and having two chicks making out because
you're doing it for the service of the men, and that's which is absolutely true.
Wrong on all.
And another one, Mickie James is another one to bring up as far as them dancing with LGBT stuff. The thing that's a positive for bringing LGBT characters in is for the simple fact that if WWE was to do so, they can do storylines that literally have never been done before. And that's an extreme rarity in wrestling these days. The one that I've always had in my head for a while, and you can do this with women, you can do it with men. It probably gets received a little better initially if you do it with women, but it doesn't work quite as well for reasons that'll become obvious. But and again, you can take any of this stuff that I'm about to outline and fabricate it, but I think the more authentic it is, the better it's going to be. And it's going to be difficult to find this because what you need to do to make this storyline work is you need two workers, two wrestlers who are involved. They're in a relationship, they're married even, something like that. They're both of a caliber that can wrestle at a top level. Those are three things that are going to be like it's gonna be finding a fucking unicorn. But if you can find it, then this works. Where I would love to see WWE do some sort of story of two wrestlers who are a couple come in, wrestle as a tag team, work their way up through the tag team ranks. Yes, they're together, but there's not really anything. They don't really touch too much on it any more than they touch on like the Usos being twin brothers. Like it's just they're involved. Maybe that adds a little bit more of a wrinkle as far as them being more concerned for one over the other. You don't need to work it into feuds. You don't need to work it into angles. It's just the way it is. They get through. They get the tag team titles. Then, after having so long in the tag division, they decide, hey, we want to go and wrestle as singles. We're still going to support each other. Fine. One of them works their way up to the top, wins a top belt. Then the other one works their way up, and now we have the two versus each other. We have never seen two people who completely love each other fight for a top prize in professional wrestling. And I think that if you tell that story, the emotional involvement you could get out of it could be unlike anything we've ever seen before.
No,
think about like what just happened with the Cruiserweight Classic. Sorry, Peruzzi, spoilers. You're 3 weeks behind.
No, hold on.
But what we saw between Gargano and Ciampa, just the match. So just the match that we saw, how emotional and impactful that was, just because those two were tag partners and friends. If we see something, and we've seen brothers face off, the Brett and Owen stuff, but we've never seen two people face off who genuinely love each other, and the complications that can come with both wanting to be the best in their individual fields. You can just kind of zoom in on how that affects both of them personally. Maybe one of them moves out so they can train, and there's all this stuff of how is this going to impact their relationship once this is over with. There's so much deep storytelling you can get with that, and that's literally only something you can get by doing it this way, because WWE doesn't do intergender wrestling. They don't, and even if they did, they're not going to have two people, a man and a woman, go at each other for the top prize. I'm dying to see that story, and that's the only way you can do it. So I feel like if we can pull that off, that's going to be like a storytelling masterpiece in professional wrestling that we've never seen before.
Would you heel one against the other?
No. So the way I would do it if I'm fantasy booking it is that one gets on top and is just like, I'm the best in the world. I'm gonna treat, I love this person, but when they get in that ring, I'm gonna kick their ass. And it's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be a hard fought thing. There's gonna be some strain on the relationship, but when it's over, they embrace. They still care about each other.
I would do that a bit differently. I would do it, one heals the other, they blow up. And then when they get to that big event where they have to go against one another and they have to fight for that championship, they beat the crap out of each other. They just knock each other down, and just one won't be able to get up, and one pins the other, submits the other. Then when it gets down to it, they went through it all, and in the end, they still love another, despite one healing on the other.
Yeah, well, I think
that's kind of what we've already seen with like Brett and Owen and stuff like that, though. That type of stuff's already kind of been played out.
But that played out over a long period of time, and it was just kind of.
I just feel like,
but I think this is one of those things where it's
too easy of a route to go.
You think that's too easy of a route to go?
Just because, like I said, we've seen it where tag team partners become friends, and then one becomes a bad guy, and one becomes a good guy, and then maybe they'll kind of reconcile again. But I just feel like if it's always just an undernote of. Maybe that's a possibility, and maybe one of them is getting a little bit, getting rough or getting a little harder edged with things, and it's a matter of, are one of these people going to turn on each other? Then maybe go that route, but never, like I said, it strains it, it puts pressure on it, but it doesn't break it.
You got to build it up so well, and then, there's a point where you may not see it coming, but you won't want to believe that it came and happened. And I just want to get it to that point where, you go, God, I can't believe this just happened. Now I got to see this match happen, and I want to see what happens here. Right. And then you go from there, and then after the match is done, they beat the holy hell out of each other.
And like I said, imagine the buildup of that. Imagine if they were to do that correctly, the amount of mainstream attention they would get off of that, and attention from the LGBT community, and just in general. That could be something, like I said, that would be so big and something nobody's ever done before that I just, it's almost like the holy grail of professional wrestling storylines at this point for me. Another one I'd really love to see is a transgender character come in who wants to work in the division that they identify themselves with. Either a woman coming in who wants to wrestle with the men, man coming in who transitions to female who wants to wrestle with the women. Something like that. Again, that one's much more... I feel like that's a way bigger minefield to navigate, and I really don't trust WWE to do that one correctly. But I think that there's some really, really interesting stories to be told that nobody's ever done yet. And if WWE can just not take the easy, I like big sweaty men route, and just throw some fucking nuance and treat this and approach these stories like adults, you can hit a whole other segment of professional wrestling storytelling and cater to and aim towards a market that you've never hit before, that it could be beneficial for everybody involved, but it's just a matter of doing it correctly. And again, that is the question, is whether or not WWE can. I think that they can. It's whether or not they will, and I think that they're probably going to airball their first few tries.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to whiff on their first few attempts. So that's...
I see eye to eye with you on that one.
That's the thing. It's... I don't know. I feel like we can't just shut out a whole... Because, I mean, we're acting like people say that we don't want to see, any romantic angles and storylines at all. But that's bullshit, because Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. And, there's been so many different angles in which women have been involved. You know, Lita and Edge.
AJ Lee and
I mean,
CM Punk
AJ and CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. AJ and everybody.
Dolph Ziggler.
I mean, everybody says that they don't want to see that, but
Dolph and Vicky. Oh my God, that was great.
Again, yeah, Dolph. So that's awesome. The thing is that professional wrestling, we've discussed before, you know, it's an art form, and you can't just shut off a whole way or a whole method of telling stories, because art is it talks about sex, it talks about love, it talks about hate, it talks about all of those human emotions you go through. Professional wrestling is no different. So it needs to have some sort of involvement in discussing love and sex and relationships. And I think if you're gonna do that, we're in a world, we always have been, but now people are just being cognizant of it, that involves same-sex relationships as well. And I do think you need to incorporate that some way. And we can't just use the excuse of, I don't trust WWE to do this. Well, we have to let them try. They have to give it. I mean, yes, they fucked up in the past. They fucked up with discussions of race. They still do.
Saba Simba.
So yeah, well, Saba Simba, the Nation of Domination. There's 1,000 that we could do.
Almost a New Day.
Almost a New Day. Yeah. I mean, you can say that they still haven't gotten really any of that correctly. Although they're again getting better, because the New Day is like their biggest selling act right now. So they're letting people kind of
over years tag champs
work. Yeah, exactly. Work towards the top. So that they're improving in that. They've had a long time to work on it. I feel like even though, yeah, they're probably going to fuck up those and they already have had first few tries. Although the Goldust character was really interesting and compelling, I don't even necessarily know if you call him a mistake as far as trying to work a character like that. Maybe
I like to call him a beautiful disaster.
Going into the thing of, I guess, and that's the other pitfall that they need to avoid too, right? It's that the gay character is the weird villain guy who is fucking with the brains of
Adrian
everybody.
Adonis and...
You know, that's I think that's the trap that they need to avoid. There is
avoid the flower shop talk segments and
well, like I said, just the fact of the gay character has to be, and that was the thing with like like I heard some people saying like, oh, if they're gonna do like an LGBT storyline, they should do it with somebody like Paige or Asuka or somebody like that, having them be, you know, because they both have kind of implemented that before. When they were working as heels,
yeah, Paige like Natty,
right? And Asuka did a lot of stuff like that in Japan, where she would kind of like, taunt or like act seductively towards the people she was beating the shit out of, which was a whole different thing. But
Kana.
I don't think that the heel needs to be the bad guy or the person who is playing mind games. I think it could just be, like I said, hey, I'm Darren Young.
Athlete.
I want to go for the IC title because I'm gay. Pat Patterson was gay. He was the first champ. Like, it can be so simple. And that's where the beauty is going to be at. That's where the benefit's going to be in it. And like I said, they need to do this because that is the world. That's the world we live in.
I think the Darren Young idea is the perfect way to do that. If that's a thing they want to do, that's exactly the way to go about that.
I like the tag team story, to be honest with you. I like that better.
That would be a great story.
That would have to last at least a year or 2 years.
That's multiple years.
Which is great.
And
you can get a lot of mileage out of that.
Yeah, that's a full. That's half a career. Probably.
I think you could get a lot of mileage out of that.
Giant arc.
And I like to see things in wrestling that I haven't seen before. Yeah. So that would have
very
interesting to watch.
A lot of mileage. And like I said, the way I like it is, you have them blow up at each other and they just like beat the hell out of each other for 20 minutes, a half hour, and just really get like nasty, like rough with it, and just and you're like, okay, there's no way these guys are, and there's no way they're not going to be, there's no way they're going to be together after, but afterward you get the embrace, and then they walk off together,
and that's kind of the self-serving thing too, is that we see how hard friends go at each other.
Exactly.
If there's people who are involved. I mean, we've seen it a little bit outside. Like, if Joey Ryan ever wrestles Laura James, they pull out all the stops, and like we see it like on the fringes of independent wrestling with intergender work and stuff like that. But just like if there was two people who knew each other that well and spent that much time with each other, the shit that they could develop
and put every bit of
for that important of a storyline, it's just. I think it could blow the roof off of anything we've ever seen.
Is that a thing where one of them is the champion coming out of December and the other one wins the Royal Rumble, and now you've got 2 months of building?
Yeah, it's something like that, or there's a tournament.
You get the moment of the person winning the Royal Rumble, and there's a match later in the night with the other person defending the belt, and now that person's like, this might happen, and then the person retains, and it's like, this is the thing. Like they have come down to the ring and you have a thing, and then on Raw the next day or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
you can do network specials on how how they're how behind the scenes they are now, and like do like the UFC does in boxing, do like the 24/7 thing where you follow them around for the the week before the fight or something like that. Like you can make this so huge. And I guess the last thing to address is how the crowd would take all of this, which is something that is worth discussing.
If it's presented properly and it's given respect and gravity, if it's given all that, then I think the fans will be fine with it. As it is, from what I've seen, if you treat it with respect, you treat it right, they're going to take to it. But that being said, I've gone to indie shows, and they have some of the most homophobic fans out there, and that's
the thing, and that's the problem. Is first of all, we have to change
perceptions. Have to be changed. Simple as that.
I'm not somebody who believes that people who watch professional wrestling are any less intelligent or any less or more bigoted than anybody else. They're people. It's just regular people. However, professional wrestling, and yes, this includes WWE, have for the last 30, 40 years basically hammered home the idea that being gay is a bad thing. So that is a lot of shit to unpack and a lot of damage to undo.
Phrasing.
And, and I think it can be done, but it is going to be, like you said, WWE is going to need to take it seriously, is going to not need to take that bait as far as, like I said, I don't even really want to see heel characters giving LGBT wrestlers shit because they're LGBT. Like, I don't want to see that, because then there's going to be a natural subset of the audience who's going to get behind that person.
If they do that, do they automatically get their comeuppance and it's done?
Maybe that may be a thing.
No?
I still think it's better. Yeah. It's better left.
Like, I think one thing they would have to very strongly consider is where that program starts. Like, if you want, take like Enzo and Cass debuting on the roster. They debuted day after WrestleMania in a place where everybody knows them. Mm-hmm. Everybody is familiar with NXT. They know what they're going to do. Everybody's going to sing along with the Certified G Bonafide Stud thing right off the bat. Mm-hmm. And now everybody else that watches that is like, the fans are behind this. This is good. You would need to make sure that your first 2 or 3 episodes of Raw, where you start this program, are in a bunch of cities where the fans are going to be more receptive to this.
Monday Night Raw in San Francisco. Join us for Monday next week. Monday Night Raw in Los Angeles.
Like, seriously.
It's week number 3 in Fire Island.
Like, it sounds kind of funny, but if you get 2 or 3 weeks of people being accepting and open to this and not fans being D-bags about it, then whenever they go somewhere else, the fans are going to be like, all right, this is a thing that people are behind and they're okay with.
Well, I also think it's an interesting point you bring up, is that we have NXT to build these characters in too, and get people used to and familiar with, and then in support of these people as they go up through. Full Sail is going to be more accepting of open they're going to be more open-minded in general anyways, I think. They tend to take well to outside-of-the-box characters. So I think Full Sail will appreciate that. Then that momentum can carry over to people just watching NXT at home. And then you're right. If they do it in not even necessarily in a gay-friendly city, which, I mean, at this point, I'm not even sure as much as there is such a thing now. I think it is just kind of a general subject.
I hate to play into a stereotype, but I don't think that, like, Birmingham, Alabama is the place where you start this.
I was going to say,
but I think that it would be important to be in Kentucky, a city where there's going to be a lot of NXT fans. Who will know them, and like Chris Jericho made the example of when Enzo and Cass came out, there wasn't not everybody knew who they were, but the ones who did were so enthusiastic about it that it kind of infected everybody else.
Exactly.
So that would be exactly the same thing where they debut after a big show, or like in like a Brooklyn would probably be the best one, because then you do TakeOver, you do SummerSlam, you do Raw, they're all in the same place, it's the same goddamn crowd 3 nights in a row. So
and like we said, you got the whole conditioning thing, and even though I chuckled at it, and frick forbid, the whole Bert and Ernie comment a couple weeks ago on Raw with Kevin Owens and Jericho was definitely an implication of these guys are gay, and there's it's funny, and it's just
right.
you know, it was funny. Bert and Ernie are funny, but whatever. Not like, you know what I'm getting at. It's just.
Well, also, I think
they were implying they were gay. It's funny because they're two puppets,
And-
but it's just like when it comes down to it, just leave that alone.
right, and that's another reason why I think like introducing some sort of character that doesn't like them because they're gay or something. I think that's one of the reasons that doesn't work. As a matter of fact, I think that one of the things that fast tracks you to letting this get accepted by the audience is to have nobody have a problem with it in WWE. Like, you know, if it comes up, maybe you have it mentioned somewhere, like. You could do it in a YouTube, you know, segment for the website or something like that, where, you know, Chris Jericho's getting super, super deep into a feud with Darren Young, and they're really going at each other, and somebody mentions the fact that, you know, well, this Darren Young being a gay wrestler value, and Chris Jericho's like, no, I don't care. Like, I want to fight him, I want to beat him, I'm better than him.
Yeah.
I don't care what he does on his own time. That doesn't bother me. I don't care. Just let me. I think that they need to do that, because if you do anything that you know points towards the heel have that biggest side, because people get behind heels. So if Kevin Owens says something to Darren Young about sucking dick, Kevin Owens is a funny guy. That's a problem. So that's something I think that they need to avoid. But again, I don't think that we should, for lack of confidence in WWE, prevent a whole subsection of people from being represented. That's ultimately what that all comes down to. Again, like I said, I think they could do some great things with this, but that's almost kind of irrelevant. It's just the fact that these are people who are not being represented right now. They should be represented.
That goes back to your original point that they shouldn't be LGBT characters, they're just characters that are LGBT.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
the difference that the distinction needs to be made.
Absolutely. All right, I think that's going to do it.
That's it for me.
For this episode, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Please be sure to check out our website, www.changingtheqs.com. That's changingtheqs.com. Also, be sure to check out our Twitter handle. Give us a shout on Twitter. You can follow us. Same thing, at ChangeTheQs, at ChangeTheQS. Be sure to like us on Facebook. If you want to send us a good old-fashioned email, you can do so, changingthequestions@gmail.com. And again, we're going to try and get back to more of a regular schedule of doing things and uploading videos and doing articles. We're still going to have Dan with our Monday Night Raw recaps and Earl Marks with our Tuesday night. Whoa. Tuesday night SmackDown Live.
We're back in the
recaps.
Wayback Machine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Way back.
Maybe I can dust the mothballs off Eliza Hornblast and try and get her to do NXT again. I know she's starting college though, so maybe if anybody is interested in doing NXT recaps, be sure to let me know.
I'll do it.
And again, I'm not sure what the video schedule is going to be like. You know, we're going to try and do some similar stuff. Maybe do things a little bit differently. Maybe do new show or two here or there. If you guys have any suggestions for anything you want to see, be sure to pass it along to us at all the things we mentioned before. So that's going to do it. I'm done rambling. For Minor, for Two Guns. My name is Paul
147.
We'll see you again.
Never ending Intercontinental title championship.
Bye.
World Tour.
I don't know what day it's going to be at this point, though.